Congress is back in session this week, and they got a packed schedule. You know what's missing, though? One thing, that big tax cut for the middle class. And despite President Trump's promise that this thing was going to get done before midterms, here we are post-election, and we still don't see it. And remember, the president warned you, if you didn't vote Republican in the midterms and Democrats won, they would vote down the tax cut. Well, Mr. President, they can't vote it down if they don't see it. So show us what you got. Joining me now, Scott Galloway, professor at NYU's Stern School of Business and founder of market research firm Gartner L2. Okay, I want to start on the tax cut.
Yep.
Any chance we're going to see it, given that the corporate tax cut hasn't resulted? Yes, a ton of money got repatriated here. We knew that would happen. Obama actually wanted to do that. But we haven't seen this boom that's trickled down.
Yeah, we were all hoping. So there was definitely some unnatural acts being performed by corporations because our tax rate was higher than other nations.
We
so
needed it to go down.
But the question is, could we have done some sort of revenue neutral reformulation by getting rid of the loopholes? Because what we were all hoping would happen, CapEx, more employment, has just resulted in share buybacks, which has inflated the marketplace. Who owns stocks? The lower half of U.S. population only owns 8% of the stock. So look, at the end of the day, the greatest source of good, the greatest source of prosperity in the history of mankind is the U.S. middle class. And the U.S. middle class wages are stagnated, and we keep giving more and more goodies to the upper 10, the upper 1, the upper 0.1. So was this really something to help the middle class? Absolutely not. The key now is, can we afford another tax cut? You know, record deficits. So, look, it feels as if...
And to afford it, we would cut programs that would hurt the people on the bottom.
Look, I hate to quote Marx, but Marx said the problem with capitalism is you end up in a world, poverty in a world of plenty. We have actually a lot of prosperity in this nation, but you'd argue there isn't a lot of progress. And when the engine of growth, the people who fight our wars, the people who cure polio, the American middle class, haven't seen a wage increase in 30 years, and it keeps threatening to go up, but so far it hasn't happened. So, look, it really feels like the rich are getting richer and the top 1% keep running away with it.
All right, well, let's talk about the richest and the richest cities. We've got to talk about Amazon. We've spent the last year with this faux beauty pageant, all these cities vying, offering tax breaks, hoping that Amazon would come and reinvigorate lost cities. Instead, they choose the two prettiest girls in school, D.C. and Washington and New York. And you told us this would happen a year ago. Yeah,
I predicted that it would either be D.C. or New York. I was wrong. It was both. This wasn't a contest, it was a con. I've been on a dozen public and private company boards. I've gone through 4 headquarter locations, and there's only one criteria every time in retrospect, where the CEO wanted to spend more time, where he was chairman of the golf club, where his next wife was living. The Bezos now have 3 houses, and each is within 6.7 miles of the new headquarters. This was a ruse. It was an abuse of the Commonwealth. It was nothing but an elegant transfer of money from municipal school, fire, and police districts to the shareholders of Amazon. This was a con, not a contest.
Okay, well, let's say he wanted headquarters near where his new houses are. Let's say I buy that.
Yep.
He has the opportunity to do something great for the American people. And if it was, well, we want to go to cities where there's talent, you could have come to New York and gone to Newark, New Jersey, not Long Island City, where there is cheaper real estate, where you're not going to jack up an already compromised housing situation. You could have gone to the city of Baltimore, which is desperate to have some soul brought back to it.
But there's generally a gestalt among big tech, unfortunately, where we keep waiting, we keep hoping that someone with concern for the Commonwealth is going to show up, and they don't.
Mark Benioff.
Okay, there's one. Good, there's one. We have management at Facebook that doesn't seem to put up safeguards such that our elections aren't weaponized, and we have the wealthiest man in the world running around looking for a handout. And this is the problem. We keep waiting for them to show up, and they don't. And who's at fault here? It's our fault, because we won't elect officials that hold these companies to the same standards that we hold every other company. When the wealthiest man in the world runs around looking for handouts, and we have short-term minded elected officials willing to pay $50,000 per job, we need different elected officials. But waiting for the good guys to show up, is a bad strategy.
But why does it even make sense for a crowded, congested New York? $100,000 jobs? Imagine if $100,000 jobs went to cities where $100,000 got you a proper apartment or school or lifestyle. It's not going to get you that here. It's just going to get you chaos and commotion.
I would push back a little bit on that. I think with the introduction of a third world-class university with Cornell Tech, I do think this is a good move for Amazon. And time will tell whether it was a good move for New York City taxpayers paying $50,000 for jobs that average $150,000. The real travesty here is 238 cities that are desperate for resources being teased, being given the notion that they had a chance. If you're the wealthiest man in the world, that means you have the most options in the world. The only option you don't have is additional life. So query me this. If you're the wealthiest man in the world, are you going to spend 12 minutes, much less 12 days a year in Indianapolis? If you're tied for the wealthiest person in the world and you're Mackenzie Bezos and your family suffers through 10 months a year of rainy Seattle, are you going to decide to spend more time in Toronto? This was an absolute con. And to go to 238 cities and ask them to take valuable resources from planning for the police, for school, for fire, and to spend money on this ridiculous con is an abuse of the Commonwealth. It shows two things. Jeff Bezos and the board of Amazon lack character and they lack code. How do you want to live your life at work? How do you want to live your life personally? And they decided we are going to lie to people, we are going to lie to municipalities because we want our share price to go up.
Then does anyone call them out on the fact that all of those municipalities, the amount of data they had to collect and provide to Amazon, that's the most valuable thing to them. Now Amazon, for over 200 cities, knows every bit of demographic information about every possible consumer, and they got it for free.
And it's worse than that. Have you ever been to a charity auction where they say, all right, dinner with the principal, and two families get into a frenzied bidding, and at the last minute they go, we're going to give out 2 dinners with the principal and double the revenue. Query me this. When Amazon went to D.C. and New York and said, all right, you can either be tied for first or come in last, but by the way, we're only bringing half the jobs there. Do you think they said you can cut your incentives in half? They doubled their take, and they gave half of what. By the way, HQ2 in itself, the nomenclature is a lie, and you have to admire it. What if they had branded this thing, we're opening 2 more offices? Would the media have obsessed over it 18 months? Would mayors and governors pulled out checkbooks worth $1 billion?
No, we show up for the circus. Have you watched politics?
Google is going to have as many employees in New York as Amazon. The difference is the CEO and the board there have a sense of personal code and ethics and aren't running around with their hand out.
All right, we have to leave it there. Then I have a final question. Could this be solved? Obviously, Jeff Bezos isn't going to change his mind. What if he wakes up tomorrow and says, I'm going to donate $1 billion to improve New York City infrastructure?
Well, there's been a lot of transparency about his giving, but he doesn't want to provide any transparency around these NDAs and this incredible forthcoming information he's gotten from all the cities. So, look, the answer here is very simple. We need to break up Amazon. We need to break these companies up into smaller companies. Power corrupts. These companies now have a combined market cap greater than the GDP of Germany. It is time to oxygenate the economy and break these guys up into smaller companies. We have a proud history of antitrust. When Ma Bell got too powerful, we moved in. When the railroads got too powerful, we moved in. For some reason, we've decided we've lost the script here and don't have the backbone to move in and break up these guys. Power corrupts. These companies are corrupted, Stephanie.
All right, Scott Galloway is asking for a lot. I'm just asking for a mere suggestion. Why don't you decide tomorrow, when you're welcoming HQ2 to New York and Washington, you could give each of these cities $1 billion to improve our infrastructure and maybe a few other cities. Just a suggestion. I actually think this suggestion is far easier than Scott's. I invite you to take my idea, and you can take credit for it, sir. Scott, always, thank you, thank you.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.